Now, you talk about the ultimate experience, I talk about the extraordinary experience. Listen to this. I have a client in Columbus, Ohio. She is the president of a bank. She was on her way to meet with a client in Cincinnati, 2 hours away. And on the way, about 20 minutes outside of Columbus, Ohio, the birthplace of B-dubs, she has a flat tire. Now, she's got a dilemma because she's got a cell phone, and the cell phone only has one little charge of juice. She can call the client to say she'll be late, but then she won't be able to call for assistance, or she can call for assistance, but then maybe the battery will die and she can't call the client. So she does neither. She calls the general manager of Buyers Imports. If you're from Columbus, you might know about Buyers Imports. And she gets him on the phone, and she said, here's my dilemma. He said, don't worry, what mile marker, where are you? And about 15 minutes later, he shows up with a charger for her cell phone, a hot cup of coffee, and a loaner car. She says, well, what should I do about my car? He says, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it. She goes and she makes the call on the customer in Cincinnati. When she comes back, she calls Buyers Import and says, do you want me to bring the car in? He goes, no, just go home. You've had a tough day. Park it in your driveway, leave the keys on the tire. We'll bring your car back and we'll switch it out. And when she got her car back, the tire was fixed. She said, how much do I charge, or how much do I owe you? He said, nothing, it's free, it's on us. And he said, by the way, we washed your mats and they're drying in the trunk. And she said at that point, now you're showing off. And she told me that story a year ago, and I wrote about it in the new book, Fred 2.0, and I've told no less than 20 audiences about Buyers Imports. Because you see, I don't even know the people at Buyers. I don't know what brands they represent. I don't know if they got the best price or the highest price in town, but I know this. Buyers elevated her experience. And I'm going to give you the 4 ingredients of an elevated experience today. 4 things that you can do, and one of the 4 things there is nobody that I currently know in the business that is consistently doing. Here are the 4 things. Number 1, the guest always receives value. You say, well, Mark, what does that mean? It means the guest got what they expected, even if their expectations weren't right. Think about it. Sometimes we hide behind the excuse. We say, well, we did what we were supposed to do. We delivered what we always deliver. The question is, what did the guest expect? If you cannot meet the guest's expectation, you only have one other alternative. What is it? To educate them. You say, you know, I understand why you might expect that, but I wish we could. Let me tell you why we can't. And I apologize, but let me educate you so that we can bring your expectations into alignment with our brand value proposition. Because if the guest doesn't receive value, all bets are off. The second thing that happens is that they're pleasantly surprised. I think it's brilliant that you have a guest experience captain. And I talked to several of you about what does a typical shift look like for a guest experience captain. Here is my 2 cents for what it's worth. Try to surprise as many people as you can during a shift if you're a GEC. Find something that somebody didn't expect. See, if I expected it, it's just value. It's when I get something I didn't expect that I'm surprised. What's the pleasant surprise? Doesn't have to be the same thing every time. Matter of fact, it should be something a little bit different. But get creative and brainstorm with your GECs and say, what can we do to pleasantly surprise every guest, or at least as many as possible? Here's the third part. If you take one note today, it's this. Your job as a GM, as an owner-operator, franchisee, corporate, field sales, whatever you do, your job is the management of guest emotion. And the million-dollar question to me isn't what was the average bar tab, what did they order, what did they eat. The question is this: did they leave your restaurant happier than they came in? And if they did, they will tell others. And that is the lifeblood of a brand. If they had a bad experience, they tell others too. You know what they say? They say, don't go there. Terrible. Bad service, bad food. They have a great experience. They go, man, here's the difference. They don't just say, go. They say, you have to go. Do you know what happened when I was in with the kids the other day? And they tell a story. See, what you want to do is you want to give them a story. I could analyze what Fred the postman does delivering the mail, and you wouldn't remember one sentence. But 5 years from now, I meet you in an airport, and you say, hey, I heard you in Orlando. If I say, what do you remember? You remember not the points I made, you remember the story. You got fanatical fans. You got people that are passionate about sports, and they love stories. Men and women alike will sit around and tell stories about their favorite sports teams. What stories are you giving them to tell about your favorite restaurant? We all want to be insiders. I love Starbucks coffee. You probably picked up, I'm pretty caffeinated. I think caffeine is the last great legal performance-enhancing drug. I drink a lot of caffeine, but my Starbucks store in Highlands Ranch, Colorado, you know what I love about them? I mean, the coffee is the same. Doesn't matter what Starbucks you go to. They freaking know my name. They call me by name. And it's embarrassing because there's so many of them. I don't know all their names, but they know me. We want to be insiders, folks. We don't want to be in the audience. We want to be behind the curtain. We want to be part of the production. We want to get credit for being loyal, passionate sports fans who happen to take their sports fix at a Buffalo Wild Wings restaurant. Now, here's an extra half principle at no additional charge. I said I was going to give you 4. I'm going to give you 4.5. Here's the half principle. Work together.